Okay, Dana, I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you, and then that way if you have any questions, you can ask me throughout the class. But before we get started, is there anything off the top of your head that you had questions for already?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay, so this class is compliance and commissions, and what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how you can find the reference documents in command. So whenever you are completing the necessary forms, you know what is specifically needing to be filled out where. Now, this isn't, this is kind of a very broad overview of these documents, because if you have anything specific with contracts or anything like that, you need to ask Jim or Don in a contracts class or give them a call. But we will cover the compliance aspect of it, and then we'll also be covering commissions as well, or green sheets on how to get paid.
Okay.
So we'll start off with the buyer side. So I have actually created a checklist of what documents are needed if you're doing a listing and a buy side, and then anything that's under contract. Again, it's very, if this was a standard deal, no weird things that aren't normal in a normal transaction, you would have different forms for those. But I've created this test opportunity. So whenever I created my opportunity, if I click documents, it will take me to the documents tab right here. Now, as you can see, I've uploaded some documents for other training classes, but if you're ever wondering what the form looks like or where specific items are needed to be filled out, whenever you click on the underlined name of it, it will pop up the version that I went through and initialed, I filled out and then highlighted for your reference. So if I was a buyer and I was needing to get my consultation form, if I had a buyer and I need to get my consultation forms ready, I would look, and these are the 3 forms needed. And I could open up each of them. So for Missouri broker disclosure form, I would see that the client's initials are needed in the bottom right here and the bottom right here. And that's all that's needed for that form. Whenever I'm ready to sign the agency contract with them, I just click right here on the underline, and then everything is filled out. So if I zoom in line 1, that's where you'll put the buyer's name. Line 2, when it asks for your brokerage, just put Keller Williams. You don't have to put Keller Williams Greater Springfield or Keller Williams Springfield. You just put the generics Keller Williams, that will work. And then here you'll see that you have to select what kind of property they're looking for. If it's commercial, residential, rental, farm, or if there's an other, you'll fill that out here. And then it will say that this effective date, this contract ends, and this is where you'll put where this buyer agency contract ends. So normally when you're filling this out, a good rule of thumb to have these buyers agents for a contract with them, meaning that you'll be serving as their agent, is normally 90 to 120 days. So that's about 3 to 4 months that you'll be looking for them. And then if you want, you can always update that form and change the date. So it is, if you need to extend it for some reason, but that's kind of just a beginning part for that.
Okay.
Then as we move down, you have to check 1. So if they do or do not want you to disclose their motivating factors. And then if for some reason, if they were already in a buyer's agency agreement with someone else, you could put that information in and saying it ends on that date. So then you would be starting that following day after. Very likely does this happen, but it is in there because it's happened at least a couple of times. Realtor compensation. So right here, I have it listed if you're going to charge a transaction fee. It is common in our market for agents to charge a transaction fee. However, it's not required. So some other brokerages make the agents charge a transaction fee, and that transaction fee goes 100% back to the brokerage. At Keller Williams, all we do is take the 6% royalty out of it up until you cap. So meaning the other split of the company dollar goes, of that transaction fee goes right back into your pocket. Some standard transaction fees I've seen is from $150 to $300. And if you charge a transaction fee, I just encourage you that when your client asks why you're charging it, you're able to give them a really good understanding of why you're charging it, not just because I'm trying to get more money. A lot of the times we have teams that charge this transaction fee because it helps offset the cost of what they pay an admin or someone to do contract to close for them. So that's just information here, and if you're going to charge a transaction fee. If you're not, then either put 0 or NA, It kind of gives you the instructions right here. And then as you move along, it's going to ask you when you're going to collect this money for the transaction fee. So whenever they sign the effective date of the agency contract, or below when the same day that you receive your commission, or not applicable. Normally, whenever you charge a transaction fee, you'll receive it the same day that you receive your commission check from the title company. And then we get into compensation. So it asks how much you're going to charge them. And then you'll put the dollar amount here if you're going to charge a flat fee. If not, you'll just put the percent and you'll write it out and then put the number right here. So normal and standard in our market is 3%. So whenever the listing agent takes a listing, they will say, okay, how much are we charging for this listing? So 6%. 3% goes to the listing agent normally, and 3% goes to the buyer's agent. The way you'll be able to figure that out is in Flex. When you're looking at the detail page for the private view, it will list what percent of commission is going to either a buyer's agent or a transaction agent. But normally whenever you're creating the contract with the buyer is you're going to charge them 3%. The buyers normally don't pay that. It comes from the listing side. However, if for some reason they go with for sale by owner, they could potentially be responsible for paying you the 3%. And then as you go down here, here's a protection period. So as I mentioned above, that your agreement may be for 120 days. You may want to put 90 days for a protection period, meaning 3 months. So if you showed them a property and you were involved with it, but for some reason after your agreement ended and they went ahead and purchased the property, you could receive compensation from that, helping them seek that property out. So normally 90 days goes in this box. As we scroll down, the next highlighted version, you'll check one of the following if they do or do not consent to dual agency. And so normally it will be yes, but you have to tell them what dual agency means, which means you're going to represent both the listing agent and the buyer during the transaction. So you'll be able to, legally help them out. However, you just have to make sure you are not swaying one or the opinion or the other. So you just have to disclose what dual agency means and if they do or do not allow that. Sometimes they don't, and that's okay. The next part is for a designated agent. So we do act as designated agents with our brokerage, and there is that form that you just completed. So check one of the following. It would normally be yes. Then we scroll down to where we discuss a transaction broker. So does the buyer consent to the realtor assisting both buyer and seller as a transaction broker? Normally that's going to be no, because you are going to be serving as their designated agent. You could be the transaction broker on the listing side. For example, if it was a for sale by owner, but again, that's a conversation you would have to talk with your clients about what representing them as a transaction buyer or transaction broker would mean. And then as we scroll down, designated transaction broker for both buyer and seller, we strongly suggest no, and here's where it's checked. But again, you're open to do whatever your client is willing to do. But since we practice designated agency, it would be hard to do designated transaction broker. So we'll keep scrolling down. Again, you'll get a lot of this you'll get in majority of your contracts class. We're just going over the highlighted portions needed for the compliance aspect of it. So down here, this is just a notice of any other provisions that were needed for the contract. So we talk about equal opportunity, notice of intended sale, legal and professional advice, defaults and remedies, and other provisions. So if for some reason, if you were having other things you were needing to add to the contract, this is where you would add other provisions. Then we'll keep scrolling down. Oops, excuse me. And then at the very bottom of page 3, there is a franchise disclosure box that you will need to check, because Keller Williams is a franchise, meaning we are independently owned and operated, and each Keller Williams runs their business a little bit differently. And so that just lets your client knows that we are part of a franchise. Then we scroll down, and then it asks for the effective date of when this contract is effective. So is that when they are signing? Or if not, then you need to specify otherwise. Again, just Keller Williams with the realtor's firm name. Then you'll have Jim Bolin, our broker, sign this right here, print his name, and then date it. And then you put your buyer's information here. Oh, excuse me. You put your information up here and Jim Bolin's information down below. Sorry about that. And then if for some reason you are working with anybody else, like a business partner, and they were potentially having conversations with your clients about this transaction, this is where you would list their name right here. And then the rest is just more of understanding for them about buyers or tenants, agents, and duties and obligations as being their agents. If you're a dual agent, what that would mean, and transaction broker. So this helps give a little bit more explanation as you're explaining to them if they're okay with you being a part of a transaction broker or dual agency. Any questions on that form?
No.
Okay, perfect. Then we go to the affiliate referral of business. So this is just a form stating that Keller Williams has a vendor program, and we may have some sort of interest, like they pay a vendor fee to join our program. And so this just recommends all the companies that we have personally vetted, and it just shows that we have a relationship with them. So then, since this is the buy side, you would check those buyer boxes and have them sign and date this, acknowledging that.
Okay.
And so those are all the forms needed for buyer's consultation. So whenever you're meeting with them firsthand, the very important one is getting that agency contract, because you should not technically be showing them houses until you have an agency contract created, because you would then be acting as a transaction broker, and there's very limited information you could then share with them.
Okay.
So as we move to the under contract portion, again, here's the different placeholders needed for those documents, and it will tell you if they're required, conditionally required, or optional. So whenever you go under contract, you can create a green sheet that states, this is my commission amount, and this is how much I'm paying to the market center. So here's an example, and if you scroll down, it says, okay, here's what the green sheet would look like. So you'll create that through the green sheet portal, download it as a PDF, and then upload it into that placeholder. But basically, if this was Jim Bolin filling it out and the sales price was $280,000 and he was getting $8,400 in commission, it would say my gross commission is right here. Then I am capped with the market center, and I'm capped on royalty. If you're not, then you would change those amounts to your split amounts, and then run it all the way through. He does a donation for Red Day, and then this is what your net check will be. So this should be a good guidance after you're under contract with the property, how much in commission you will be receiving after it closes. The next part is the contract, and for some reason it is missing. Okay, I will have to upload that. The next is the initialed MLS details. So basically, whenever your clients go under contract with the property, you'll print off the detail sheet with them, customer only report, and you'll just have them initial, verifying that they did receive a copy of this. And this basically states what is all coming with the property, and just square footage, number of bedrooms, baths, all of that information. Seller's disclosures. So you will receive these disclosures off of the MLS whenever you go under contract with the property. The listing agent will upload these, and then you will cover these with your client. So again, the street address, city, zip code, and county should all be filled out from the listing agent. And the listing agent should go through and check mark if the property's ever had cooked meth, if it needs a lead-based paint, if it was built prior to 1978. If it used to be used for a waste disposal site or demolition landfill, or if there was radioactive or hazardous materials. So the listing agent will be filling all this out for your reference. And if they, for some reason, say that yes, the residence was built before 1978, there will be another form that goes along with this form your clients will have to sign. But this form will just go through all of the house to the best of the seller's knowledge. However, if they do not want to disclose any of this information, all they have to do is check this box right here, and the rest of these pages will not be filled out. If they are going to disclose, then they will go line by line stating what everything is. So whenever your clients look over it, they know exactly what kind of heating it is, what kind of electrical's in there, what kind of a plumbing is a part of it, and so on and so forth. Now, if all of this is filled out, or if they elect to disclose nothing, your clients will just go down here to the signature page, and they'll sign right here and print their name with the date, showing that they have received and reviewed the seller's disclosures. And then the seller should have already completed that information. That should already be on the Flex for you when you download them. The next part is a home warranty application. So the property address, city, state, zip, all needs to be filled out. You do need to talk to them about the benefits of having a home warranty. If they want a home warranty, then they can just check this box saying that they would like one, and they'll sign this up. If they do want a home warranty, there will be a confirmation form that you can also upload. If they do not want a home warranty, they have to waive that they do not want a home warranty, and they have to sign and date down here. We do need this for our E&O coverage. So this is, they'll have to either respond yes or no to the form. The next is the inspection providers. So when you go through the inspection with your clients, if there is an inspection noted on the contract, you have to recommend at least 3. And so we have different property inspectors, termite inspectors, well and septic, lead-based paint, mold, and radon. And then they have to put the property address, sign, and date this form. Doesn't mean they have to go with someone on this form, but it just allows you those other recommendations so you're not going with the same person every single time. And you're not pushing any certain inspector on them. They do have the right to choose. So property address, date, and sign. The next is the final walkthrough for the buy side. So whenever you're about to close on the property and you went through your inspections, you have to walk through the property to verify that those necessary repairs have been done. So you'll complete this contract dated whenever it went under contract, the property address, you'll print the buyer's name, print the seller's name, and note the walkthrough date. Now there's 3 boxes that they have the option of checking. Either they acknowledge that they've conducted the final walkthrough and they viewed the property, meaning that everything is good to go, or they've discovered one or more of the following items. Either they're not in the same condition as it was when they signed the contract, or maybe they didn't complete them to the level that they were needing during the inspection process. Or the final option is the buyers could waive that they do not want to conduct a final walkthrough. So again, they'll fill out the information here and then they'll check one of these boxes. The buyers will sign and date, and this will be the last form you submit whenever you are done with your contract, your file. Now with the seller's disclosures, if they did check that they it is a lead-based paint, it is built before 1978, there is a rider that they'll need to do called the lead-based paint rider. And so this is what it would look like when they filled it out. So the reference line would already be filled out. You'll just put the property address and or the buyer and seller names. These lines will already be completed by the seller, and this should also be uploaded with the disclosures on Flex. But the purchaser has to go through and initials line 25 and 26, saying they've received copies of the information above, and they received the pamphlet Protect Your Family from Lead-Based Paint in Your Home. And then they either have to initial 1 or 2. So either they received a 10-day opportunity to conduct a risk assessment, or they waived the opportunity to conduct a risk assessment. Then they will sign and date. You as the agent will sign and date, and then you'll put the property address below. And again, this is only needed if on the seller's disclosures the property was built before 1978. Next, we have a government loan writer. So if your clients are not going conventional, and they're going FHA, VA, USDA, or some other source of government financing, MSDA, this is the form that you'll have to complete with your buyers. You'll fill in this line with the loan amount saying up to the max for a period of how many years, and will not exceed a blank amount of interest rate. Then you'll go down here and you'll mark if it's what kind of loan it is, if it's a veteran's loan, if it's a first-time home buyer, if it's a USDA. And then if it's an FHA, then you have to include the 4-year protection, get a home inspection form. If it's VA, you don't have to do anything about it, so on and so forth. So you'll check one of these boxes. And then as you scroll down, there will be the amendatory clause, and that is required if it's an FHA or VA loan. And that's where you'll put the reasonable value of the property of not less than, and you'll put the same amount here. So normally when you're putting the amount up here, it will be the same amount down here. And then your buyers will sign and date and print their names. And then whenever you send over your offer to the agent, you'll normally include the contract along with a pre-approval letter, and then a copy of the financing, this goes along with their financing for government loan. So then the sellers will sign off of that if your offer is accepted. So if you were, and right here it kind of gives an example, if the buyer checks FHA on government loan writer, this is the form you need. And all they have to do is read through this, and then if they agree, then they will sign and date their names here. Now, some brokerages require a measurement disclaimer to be completed, and we just started requiring that as a brokerage. So, but if another agent from another brokerage does not have it, you do not have to complete that form. So this is assuming that the listing agent completed the measurement disclaimer. So then your clients would have to sign off on this form as well. They'll have to list the street address, city, state, zip, and then they have to say where they got their measurement information from. Was it from a prior appraisal, from the building plans, from the assessor's office, or if other, then they have to write why or where. Then if you were the buy side, then you would fill out this part, and it would be Keller Williams. Then you would sign and date your name and print it as well. And then your buyers would sign, date, and print their name as well in this section. And this would be returned to the listing agent because this part would be completed. Or if you were the listing agent completed, then you would fill out this information. And this also would be uploaded in Flex with your lead-based paint and or seller's disclosures. So if your buyers do have a inspection, this is the inspection notice after you receive the inspection report that you'll complete with them. So you'll put the street address, city, zip, and county, and you'll print the seller's names and print the buyer's names, and you'll choose one of the following options. Either the buyer is satisfied with all the inspections, or the buyer requests satisfaction of the following unacceptable conditions. So whenever you get your inspection report, you'll go with your client line by line. And as you're filling this out, I would reference those numbers. So if it's 1.A or 2.7B, you will list that and list what is needing to be repaired about it. Or you could note that the buyer terminates the contract. However, if you checked a specific box in the contract, you cannot use this box. However, if you didn't, then this is a way for your buyers to potentially cancel the contract as a whole. So one of these options will be selected. The buyers will sign and date. Then you'll send this over to the listing agent. The listing agent will review this with their clients. And then the sellers have the option of satisfying all the items that you submitted in section B, or they could say, we just are going to satisfy these specific items off of that list, or they're going to decline any of the listed items on the inspection notice. Or another option is that the seller could agree that instead of repairing all those items that you suggested, they're just going to give you a monetary value equal. Then the sellers will sign and date, return it back to you. Then your buyer will have the option of 1, 2, 3, or 4. Do they want to accept it? Do they accept the rejection? Do they not accept your response, but you want to counter, or are they not accepting it at all? So the buyers will then sign and date, and then that will be the end of the inspection period. So then if for some reason, whenever you're submitting your contract and there is a counteroffer, here's what a counteroffer would look like. So if I created a contract and I am the buyer and I'm sending it over to the listing agent can either accept or reject that contract, or they can counter. If they choose to counter, then this is what they will counter with on this form. If this is counteroffer 1, you'll put a 1. If this is a second counteroffer, you'll put a 2. You'll just keep going with as many counteroffers as needed until you get to a resolution. You'll put the street address, city, zip code, and county. The seller will print their name, and so will the buyer. And then this is where your counteroffering of what is the seller would be on the contract. So the seller is only going to counter on what you would disagree with on the contract. So instead of saying, I disagree with the purchase price and I'm going to come back with a purchase price, I don't have to put the purchase price and everything else listed in the contract to make sure it's all together. The contract is the contract, and this is just adding on to it. So I'm only going to add on here what I disagree with. Then you will sign and date it, and then if the buyers accept that counteroffer, then they will sign and date here. If they reject, then they will reject it or offer a new counter, and then you'll put the new counteroffer number down here. So if this was the sellers countering the buyer's original contract, they would put counteroffer 1. If they rejected it, they would put reject, and we're going to offer a new counter, and this would be counteroffer number 2. Okay. And then for the closing, whenever you close, you will take a copy of the closing check and the closing documents and upload it into these, and the Market Center uploads the closing DA. Basically, we take the green sheet that you have submitted, run it through our system, and then this is where we'll put that in there. So this is the only thing you're missing. Don't worry about it. We got it. Do you have any questions so far for the buyer forms and the under contract forms?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah, and it just basically what I recommend doing is printing copies of these off, or you can always reference them. So whenever you're filling out forms, then you will just reference what is needed to be signed. Again, this class is intended for just what needs to be signed and dated here, not so much what each line means. Those are for the contracts classes.
Okay.
So if I'm on the listing side and I have a listing I need to put up, again, here are all the forms required for me whenever completing the listing. Some of these forms you'll see again, and so we'll still cover them, and some of them are new. So whenever I have a listing, again, it's initiated in Flex. It tells you where you'll find it at. I'll fill all this information out in Flex. So when I go to a listing appointment, I will take this with me, and everything that's highlighted in yellow is required for that listing. So the listing number, the street number, street name, county, city, state, zip. If it's inside city limits, tax ID number. Then it will ask for the property subtype. If it's a vacation rental, the begin date. So the begin date is interesting because this will be the date it is active on the MLS, not when you're creating this form. So if I'm coming to list your house and you say, I want to list in 6 months, but you went ahead and got this agreement signed, then in 6 months from this date, that is when this begin date of this property will go active to market. Then we have if it's a foreclosure, agreement type, sign on property, showing instructions. So again, all of this stuff in yellow is what is needed to be completed. So then we go to the second page. Again, the only thing needed on the second page is the directions to the property, because you also have to enter those into Flex. And then this is where you'll list who the listing broker is and the commission percentage for each of those types. So sometimes, normally it's like 3% to anybody that brings you the buyer. So if it's a buyer's agency, if it's a sub-agency or transaction broker. However, I have seen, depending on your type of agency with your clients, there may be a different commission amount. And just because you see that there's a total of 6%, doesn't mean the buyer's agent's always going to get 3%. So when you're looking at the MLS detail page on Flex, just verify what those commission amounts are going to. Then as we scroll down, you see the lockbox type is needed. So if it's a code, or if it's and where the lockbox is located. If it has a basement, as we're scrolling down to page 4, all of this stuff, again, it's like the disclosures. Fill out as much as you can, gives a better understanding for people looking at your property. However, it's not required for compliance. Then as we scroll down to page 5 of 6, it's going to ask if it's a part of an HOA, and then you'll list all the HOA information if possible. And then you have the room information. So you'll list the room name, living room, what level of the house it's on, what the size is, and any remarks about it. And you'll list all the rooms through here. Here's another page to list the rooms. And then you will have your sellers sign, date, and put a timestamp. Now, if they are signing through dot loop, it already date and timestamps it. If they're wet inking it, then they have to put the date and time. Then you as the listing agent will sign and date and put the time as well. And then the listing broker, you just put Keller Williams, and the date and time will be the same as the sellers when they sign. Again, this date that you're signing this agreement does not mean that it is the begin date that this is going active. The active date is when it goes on MLS. This date is whenever you're signing this agreement saying, yes, I'm going to use you to list my property. Doesn't matter if it's now or if it's in 3 months, and that's when you agree upon. So this form will be initiated in Flex, and you'll download and upload. Again, here's the seller's disclosures we've already covered. And if I was the listing agent, you would have put all this information in, highlighted. You'll go through all these questions with them to say yes or no. And then you'll say, are you disclosing anything else on the property? If not, check this box. If so, you're going to go line by line and have them fill it out. Then as the sellers, they will sign and print their name and also date it right here. So this part will be blank until the buyers go under contract, and then this is when they would sign it. This is the seller's agency listing contract. So just like we went over the buyer's agency agreement, this is a seller's listing agency agreement. So here on line 1, you'll include the seller's name, put Keller Williams here. You'll put the street address, city, zip code, and county. You'll add the end date whenever this effective date is ending of whenever you're going to be their agent. And then if there's anything monetary, put it here. So it says at the sale price of blank. So this is where you'll put the sale price of what you're going to list it for, and the terms of cash or any other term, price or terms to which owner shall consent and under the following special terms. And this is where you'll list anything monetary. Now, as we go down, this is the commission percentage that the listing agent is agreeing to sell. So even though they're listing 6, normally the standard is 3% to the listing agent, 3% to the buyer's agent. However, that's not consistent across all boards, so that's why you need to check on Flex to see how much is going to the buyer's agent. Also, here's your protection period. So this is where you would normally put 90 days. You could put 120 days. You could put 1 year. It doesn't really matter. It's up to whatever you and your client agree upon. So again, the same way with the transaction fee. This is where you'll list if a transaction fee will be paid out, and then you'll check if it's going to be whenever it's upfront, whenever you sign this paperwork, at closing, or never. So if you're not charging a transaction fee, never. And then as you scroll down, this is where you'll list of what the percentage is being paid out to the different buyer's agents. So if I'm paying out 3%, it would be 0 here or 3% here. And maybe you're paying 3% on all of these. Maybe you're paying 1% to sub-agents, 3% to buyer's agents, 1% to transaction brokers. Normally it's 3 across the board, but you can determine that with your sellers what you're wanting to pay. So then right here, you're going to check only if applicable, the realtor is not available to brokers. So if for some reason you are going to exclude certain brokerages or agents from getting this commission, this is where it would be from. So my client may say, I will sell to anybody but to someone at EXP. Then you would have to note that anybody that's with EXP will not receive compensation if they sell this. As you continue down, you'll ask if they'll allow you to disclose the motivating factors of why they're willing to sell their property. If they say they do want to disclose them, then write word for word of what those motivating factors are. And that should be the only motivating factors you share about your clients during the transaction. Then as you go down here, do your clients permit realtors to disclose the extensions of offers on the property? Or do your clients permit realtors to disclose the terms of offers on the property, provided, however, that the realtor is permitted to disclose? And then if they have any current representation, this is where you would mark that. And if so, you'd put the end date of when that ends. As we go through, you'll check either they do or do not agree to complete and deliver the disclosure form. So normally it is does. And then if the lead-based paint disclosure, you check 1 or 2. Either that the sale or lease of the above property is exempt, or that the sale or lease of the property is not exempt from the disclosure. And this is about if the home was built before 1978. Then as you scroll down, you have to say the owner represents that the owner is or is not a foreign person. So you have to check one of those boxes. Then as we scroll down to page 3, then here's the warranty program. So just like we have that Hsa Home Warranty, are they going to offer a warranty plan? Are they not? Or are they going to consider at a later date? Normally you may check consider at a later date because they could change their mind. If they right up front said, no, we're not offering it all, you could say they're not, but sometimes they may change their mind as they go on. If their house is still in the market, sometimes that's an added value to a buyer whenever they're buying their home. Then again, they would check this box on 178 saying they are a part of a franchise. As we move to page 4, any agents involved in the transaction that may be working with you, such as if you had an admin or a buyer's agent, you would list their names here, and then Jim's signed, and then you'll add a date here. And then you'll talk to them about dual agency, designated agency, and transaction broker, just like we covered in the previous agreement. So here's all this listed here. So they check one of those boxes. And then right down here, we have the licensee personal interest disclosure. So only if this is applicable. So if I was the listing agent and this was my own personal transaction, I would mark that I have direct with the indirect ownership interest involved. Or if this is an immediate family member, maybe you're selling it for either your parents and or children, you will note that, and that's what's considered for immediate, as parents and or children. As we move down for line 252, any special agreements will be filled out in here on these lines, and then you'll only check this box if it's applicable. If you check it, you're express acknowledge and agree that changes to the listing contract may be made by the persons identified below, either via email, and then you'll date when this agreement is signed. Keller Williams here, the owners will sign, date, print their name, and then you as the listing agent will fill out this information below. And again, this goes over the page 6 and 7, designated agency, dual agency, and transaction brokerage you will explain with your clients. So again, we have the affiliated referral of business that we covered. This time, the only thing that's different, if you're the listing side on this, you'll check mark the seller boxes, and you'll have them sign and date. Here's the measurement disclaimer. We do require this for all of our listings, so you as the listing agent will complete that. So you'll street address, city, zip code, county. You'll mark where you received your measurements from. You are the seller, so you'll put Keller Williams here, the agent's signature here, print your name, date, and then your seller, your clients, will sign, print, and date as well in these boxes. And this will be uploaded with Flex with the seller's disclosures. Mo broker form is the one we've already talked about, where your clients just initial the bottom right hand, and that's all that's needed for this form. An Hsa Home Warranty, same way. You'll put the property address up here, and then you will have your seller sign if they are going to offer a home warranty, or if not, they have to sign and date either way. Lead-based paint. So if this is the seller side, then if statutory disclosures box number 2 on the seller's disclosures check yes, then this form must be completed. And for the sellers, these are the boxes. Either you check, one of these have to be initialed, one of these have to be initialed. The agent initials this box, and the sellers sign and date along with the agent signing and dating with the property address below. And those are the required documents. Let me see for that. Do you have any questions in regards to that?
No.
Okay. I know, I'm sorry, it is a lot to cover and go over, but whenever you get to that point of ready to complete these forms, then you will you have these guides that you can click, and it will show you everything that needs to be completed.
And these guides are with Flex as well, or are they?
Yeah, so all of these are in command under,
Okay.
whenever you create an opportunity and you go to the documents, they're all listed here. Now, some of these documents, like this one, it says initiated in Flex, so you will start this document in Flex and then save it as a PDF and upload it up.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So let me see. Do you have any questions on that before we move forward?
No.
Okay. So the next part is commissions, which commissions is changing. However, I'm going to give you what the green sheet version is, which is what we will move away from eventually, and show you kind of what the new version is. So we're going to talk about green sheets first. So in order to access a green sheet, which is basically saying this is how much commission I'm getting and this is what I'm paying out to the market center, you will go to mykw.kw.com. You'll use the same username and password that you use to log into command. And then over where it says technology, you'll scroll down and click green sheet. So whenever I'm ready to create a green sheet, I'll click create green sheet. So at first it's gonna ask if you're the listing agent. I will say a lot of the time this holds a lot of people up and they don't know what to answer. If you're not the listing agent, or for some reason you are and you're needing to create another green sheet and it won't let you, just click no, I'm not, and just say no, this is not a KW listing. And it will just basically allow you to start filling in this information. We have a lot of people getting hung up on those first 2 questions. So when in doubt, if you don't know, just click no, and go ahead and fill all this information in manually.
Okay.
So first, everything in red is what's going to be required of you to complete. So if it's residential or commercial, You're going to put whenever you wrote the contract. So if we say we wrote the contract April 1st and we're closing May 21st, that's when you'll fill that out. It's going to ask you what type of transaction it is. So is this a listing? Is this a buyer? Is this, you have both sides, you're the listing and buyer agent? Or other would mean that if this is a referral. So we're going to say we're the buyer. It's going to say, is this a lease, property, or other? Normally, leases are only dealt with commercial properties, so you won't have to deal with that a lot. A property, meaning it's being sold, not leased out. And then other would be referral. So property. Then it's going to ask you what kind of property this is. Is this a resale, meaning it's not a new build, it's been sold. This will be like the second or more time it's being sold. This is a new home, a lot, a farm and ranch, or lease. So I'm going to say resale. It's going to ask you for the street number and then the street name, what city it's in, what state it's in, zip code, and county. If you are enrolled in the PC program, meaning you're in the productivity coaching program with the productivity coach, you will say yes or no. So I'm going to say yes.
Am I in one? You're my coach, right?
Pardon?
Do I have a coach?
Is Lexi your coach?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, yep, you would say yes. If you were not, you would just put no.
Okay.
The co-broker, which means who is the agent on the other side of the transaction. So if I was the buyer's agent, who was the listing agent, even if it was from another brokerage, who was that? You'll fill that information out here. If for some reason I had both sides of the transaction, I would be listed as the co-broker. So I'm going to put who's the co-broker. I'm going to say Mike Brown was the other agent. He's with Keller Williams. And then it's going to ask for the phone number. You can either put the cell phone number or the office number. Then once all this in red is filled out, I hit next section. It's going to ask me what the sales price is. So I'm going to type in 200,000 for easy math. I'm going to say if it's a percentage or a flat rate. Normally it's a percentage. And it's going to ask you what percent of commission you took. It should be 3%. Normally it is. However, if it's not, you'll just put in whatever percent you're taking. And when I hit tab, it auto-populates what my commission is going to be for me. So I don't have to do the math in my head. Then I'll click next section because all the stuff in red is completed. It's going to say, what is the buyer's name? So I'm going to say Mr. Buyer. Then next section, what is the seller's name? Mrs. Seller. Next section. And then this is the really important section where it's pulling in all of your commission. So if I'm creating the green sheet for myself and I've logged in with my KW credentials, it's going to auto-populate my name right here. If for some reason I'm creating the green sheet for someone else, I'll click this little magnifying glass and I can search the name for that person. So if I was creating it for Mike, here's Mike's name and I would select and it would put his name in here. I'm gonna close that window. It's gonna say, what was my role? Am I the buyer specialist, individual agent, listing specialist, lead agent? Normally you'll put listing specialist, but if you wanna put individual agent, have at it. It's all good. Whatever you put is okay. Then it's going to say, is this a buyer, sale, or inside? We never deal with inside, so it's always buyer, sale. Agency, am I the buyer or is this dual? Well, since I'm only on the buy side, I'm a buyer. And as you can tell, this box right here has become ungrayed. So whenever I sell a house, I get one unit. If I am the listing agent and the buyer's agent, I get a unit for listing it and a unit for selling it. But since I'm just the buyer side, I'm only going to get one. Whenever I type in 1 and hit tab, this number right here is going to auto-populate with my commission amount that was listed above. So $6,000 is my gross commission. If I have to pay an outside referral, meaning someone from another, either Keller Williams or another brokerage said, hey, I have this client that's looking to buy, just pay me a referral fee. This is where you would fill that information out. So if I was paying a referral fee, I would either put the percentage or the dollar amount right here. We do not handle any concessions, so this line will be blank. If you were charging that transaction fee we talked about, this is where you would list it. So if I was charging a transaction fee of $125, I would put it here and hit tab. It's then going to ask me my split with the market center. So am I capped or am I not capped? So 100% to agent means I'm capped and I don't pay in anything else, or I'm splitting with the market center. So if I click splitting with the market center, it will, so right here, my grade total is my gross commission plus my transaction fee. You'll then put your split. So if you're in the productivity coaching program, it's 66. After you've graduated for a year or capped, it will be 70.
Did you say 66?
Yes, correct. 66 right here. So if I was 66, then it would pull it out right through here, and here's my subtotal. It's then going to ask if I'm capped on royalty. Normally, with an individual cap, I will cap on royalty before I cap on company dollar. You have two different cap dates. If I'm not capped, I just say no, and it will deduct this 6% out. Again, we don't handle inside referrals. So my 1099 income is in this great amount, $3,675. The next portion in red, I'm not required to donate. However, I do have to put either $0 or a dollar amount. So KW Cares, it auto defaults to $10. If you don't want that, you can either put a 0 or you click opt out and it won't auto default to that. What Keller Williams Cares is, it's a 501(c) that benefits all of Keller Williams agents during times of hardship. So whenever hurricanes or tornadoes have hit, Keller Williams International has loaded up semi-trucks full of items to take as relief. So this money is going to those whenever there is an instance like that. Or if one of our agents is facing a hardship, they're able to submit a grant application to Keller Williams International to receive some of that money. So again, if you don't want to donate, you just put a 0. If you do, just put a dollar amount. KW Kids Can. It's a class designed by Gary Keller called Quantum Leap. It teaches kids 18 to 24-year-olds leadership lessons on life. And it, honestly, I went to it, and you can go to Quantum Leap anytime. You don't have to fit within those age ranges, but this is where those scholarship donations are going to. And it was one of the most beneficial classes I've ever attended. And it's all about goal setting for the future. It's really cool. So if you want to donate, you just put an amount. If not, put 0. And then bold. This cannot be confused with when we bring bold locally. This is a bold national scholarship. So you're providing money that Keller Williams International will give to agents that are first-time bold attendees that submit a request for it. That's the money you give out to them. So again, either put a 0 or a dollar amount. We don't handle any buyer's home warranties or agent concessions. Those are all done before you fill out the green sheet. Then we have our other deductions and custom deductions. So under custom deductions, if you want to put money towards your next month's office bill, you can put money here and we'll take it out of this check. And that way, whenever your office bill comes around, if it's $50, assuming you haven't done any printing, copies, or bought office supplies or signs, then it will cover that. If you want to donate to Red Day, so the second Thursday of every month, or every May, we honor Mo Anderson, who is like the queen of culture at Keller Williams International. We pick a local organization and go out and either renovate or raise funds for that organization. So last year we raised almost $28,000 to benefit Eden's Village, which is a tiny home community for those that are homeless, to help them get back on their feet and to start earning income at the village. So we built a Keller Williams workshop that allowed those residents to go in and hand make items to sell in order to earn money. Yeah, so the previous year before we did Eden's Village, we worked at Rare Breed, which is a youth shelter down in downtown Springfield, Missouri, that provide necessary toiletry items, a meal, and a place for them to kind of go and be safe during the day if they were needing that. This year, we're still actually finalizing it, and it should be announced tomorrow at team meeting. So that will be exciting when that comes out. So if you want to donate to that, that's where you'll donate. The next is Springfield Cares. So just like Keller Williams Cares, we have a Springfield Cares that is a 501(c) that benefits our agents in our office. So if one of our agents is going through a hardship, we are able to take funds out of that account and help them. So we've had an agent that she had stage 4 breast cancer. We were able to use those funds to help pay to renew her board renewals. We had a couple agents that were affected by the tornado last year that we were able to give them some assistance. We did a golf tournament a couple years ago and raised $10,000, and we were able to help 5 families in our office that had a loved one battling cancer. So things like that. That's where you can donate through there. So after all of my donations and all of my splits being taken out, this is my net check. So $3,625. So whenever I'm like, okay, after I get my closing check and my gross commission $6,000, I pay in my market center cap, I want to pay towards my office bill, then this is my net check I should expect to receive from the office. Whenever I'm ready to submit, I just click submit to MCA, submit green sheet, and whenever it's submitted, it will take you back to the top and it will say partially accepted. You will then go to printable view and save this as a PDF and upload it into the placeholder in command that's listed under that opportunity. So I'll save it as a PDF, I'll go to under contract, and I'll upload the file right here where it says green sheet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So then the next portion of that, we're going to look at the commissions aspect. So let me exit out of this one. So eventually green sheets will be going away and we will be working out of commissions in command. So this is just the next step in the process. So whenever I'm at the point and I'm ready to create my green sheet, that means that my property that I'm either selling or buying has went under contract. So then I will go to the offers tab. So I will add an offer and I can label it whatever I want. So I can leave it saying initial offer. I can say Redwood offer, whatever I want to call it. And I create the offer. The offer is just outlining all the details of the contract that was accepted. So I'm going to say when we went under contract, when the closing date is. Then it's going to ask in the red asterisk, who is the buyer's name? So Mr. Buyer. It already pulled in my information from my opportunity before. So my seller's name was Carrie Prater. And I can add the buyer's information if I want. I can note if they were pre-approved. So since I'm the one creating the opportunity for the listing side, my information defaults. And then I'm going to put who the agent is on the other side. So Andy Agent. I'm going to go to the term section because again, only the stuff in the red asterisk needs to be completed. This is where it's going to ask you how much is cash, how much they're financing, and what's the total sales price. If any earnest money is coming out, so if a client is going to give $1,000 earnest money, you'll put that there. If there's an option fee, if there's a termination notice, or if there's going to be any seller's concessions. So if the buyer in the contract is requesting that $4,000 is going to seller's concessions, either it's going to pay or closing cost, this is where you'd fill that information out here. So let's say I have an all cash offer, no earnest money, no seller's concessions. I'll go to the analysis and I can put if there's a pro or con to this offer, and I click save. Once I've created an offer, my commissions tab will become ungrayed and I can click on it. So, and then I have to accept an offer. So let me change response. Okay. So I'm ready to, since I don't have an offer accepted, this is grayed out. If I'm going to accept this offer, I just click accept. Commissions is now where I can click on it. I'll open up the commissions tab. So this is, it will tell you all of your errors. If you're not able to fix it, it will tell you why. But this is basically what it's going to replace with green sheets. So it will pull over my sales price, my commission percentage. If for some reason my commission percentage change, I can just type in here and it will auto calculate that for me. Or I can type it in over here for a dollar amount and it will fill it in for me. Since I'm the one creating the commission, it will default to my name. However, if I need to change it, I can. Here's my unit and here's my commission. What's really cool about this is now in real time, you will be able to track how close you are to capping. So before we haven't been able to do that. And so right now, as we close out transactions, this cap tracker will start closing and you'll see how much you have left to pay in. And those deductions that we completed on the green sheet, the KW Cares, KW Kids Can, and the KW Bold Scholarship are all right here. So this is where you could donate. And so it does all the calculation for me based on my splits that we have already entered. So you don't have to worry about putting in the percentage or anything like that. It does all that for you. And here it shows you your net check amount, and it kind of gives you a snapshot over here on the right-hand side. So when we transition to commissions, it will be a lot less data entry for you, and it will pull a lot of stuff of the information you've already entered before.
Yeah.
Now, if I needed to pay an outside referral, if you wanted to have a special deduction to like Springfield Cares per se, or to your office bill transaction fee, you'll just click add item. And this is where you can choose those drop downs to fill out that information. So if I had a transaction fee, I'd click bonus. If I was going to pay out an office bill, I would click deduction, because you would deduct that out of your check. Or if I had an outside referral to pay to another brokerage, this is where I would click that and fill that information in, and then add it to this, and it would adjust all my numbers for me. But this will be super smooth once we 100% transition to that. I have been on a lab where I believe KWRI is going to combine these two tabs together, so it's one less click you have to worry about. And so that will be really cool whenever that rolls out. And if for some reason, whenever you're submitting this to us, if you need to add a note, you just type in your personal note here and click add. And whenever we receive this commission amount, it will pop up on our screen. So do you have any questions about that, or anything that maybe doesn't sound, maybe it's a little confusing?
No, that sheet sounds really easy.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome whenever it transitions over, for sure. Okay. So if you don't have any other questions, that's basically the class. I know I really talked a lot and kind of went through a lot. So if you have any other questions, this is the time to ask, or again, you can always reach out, phone call, email, and we can cover it. But this is kind of a broad overview of compliance and commissions. So you should be able to understand where different documents need items filled out and completed, and how to complete a green sheet.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome. Well, if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm always here, or someone else on the executive team, and I will talk to you later then.
All right. Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.